What is a lighting ratio in cinematography? Hi, I'm Jim Costa. I'm a videography, photography, and technology guru, and I created this blog to help you to become a tech-savvy senior. My tips and advice are useful to anyone, but my specific focus is in helping senior citizens to become more familiar with technology to improve and better their lives. For today's lesson, I want to explain in detail lighting ratios so you can improve the look of your films and videos. Now, I've created many different videos with tips and tricks on how to improve your photos and your videos, and I'll link to those in the comments section below. Cinematography is a very complex art, and there are an endless number of lighting possibilities, but understanding ratios and commonly used ratios can help a cinematographer to develop a visual language across the project. Lighting ratios for cinematography aren't concerned with the number of lights or the type of light that you're using, such as a soft or hard light, but rather how much light is falling in one area versus in another area. Understanding the effects of lighting ratios can make you a more efficient and more effective visual storyteller. As a cinematographer, you are painting with light, and to get the results you're looking for, you need to have a firm understanding of the principles you're trying to manipulate. So what are the two most common ratios that cinematographers track and use? Well, number one is the key to fill ratio. The most common ratio that cinematographers measure when shooting is the key to fill ratio. In this case, the term key is referring to the amount of light coming from the key light in the scene. The key light in any given scene is the light that is providing the main illumination for your subject. The key light is also the most common light used for setting your exposure on the lens. In other words, setting your f-stop. Fill refers to the fill light level in the scene. The fill light doesn't actually have to be a light itself. The fill light levels can come from a bounce or general ambient light, or it can be even from an open window or what's known as negative fill. The term fill, as used here, just means the opposite side of the key. Now, I've done a previous video on three-point lighting specifically that goes into a more in-depth discussion of the key and fill lights, and I'll link to that video in the comments section below. The key to fill ratio is most commonly discussed when lighting people. For example, let's take a look at this shot of Jude Law. This is a simple close-up in an office, and you can quickly see the key light is coming from camera left and providing the light on the camera left side of Jude's face. The fill side is on camera right. The fill doesn't look to be generated from another light in this particular example. It could be from the key light bouncing off of some polyboard or white card, or there may not be any bounce at all and it could be coming from the walls of the set. Either way, to measure the key to fill ratio, you would measure the amount of light falling onto Jude's key side, the camera left side in this example, write it down, then measure the amount of light falling on the fill side of Jude's face, the camera right in this example, and then compare the two. In this example, it looks to be about an 8:1 ratio in terms of light levels, or 3:1 ratio in terms of the f-stops. So, in our example, the key light is reading 3 f-stops brighter than the fill light, if we were to be measuring with a light meter on the set. Since we know that, if we wanted to reproduce this shot, or a shot with a similar light to dark feel to it, we now know that we would need 3 times the amount of light on the key side compared to the fill side. And if you reproduce that lighting, you'll get a similar look in your scene. The second major ratio a cinematographer needs to be aware of is the key to background ratio. As in the previous example, the key refers to the main light illuminating the scene. If we again use the example of Jude Law that we did earlier, we know that the key light is coming from the camera left side. The key to background ratio works just like the key to fill ratio, but its implementation can be a bit broader. In the key to background ratio, you measure the key light and then measure the background as a whole. Most of the time in dramatic film and television work, the background will be 1 or 2 stops under the key, but that is a very broad generalization. The key to background ratio sets the mood for the viewer and can help a cinematographer shape where he or she wants the audience to focus their attention within a given frame. If we again focus our attention on our earlier example, we can measure the key light of the scene and then measure the background of the scene. When we do that, we see that the background is reading at key on the left side of the frame and then dropping to 1.5 stops under on the right. There are no objects in the background over the key. This is powerful knowledge. We are now armed with a deep understanding of what it takes to replicate a visual language like the one being projected in this example. Now, if this is making sense to you, put Tech Savvy Senior in the comments section below. Do you want to see more videos like this? Follow my YouTube channel, Jim Costa Films. Do you think what you saw was great? Go ahead and like it. You have an opinion? Comment below. Know someone who could benefit from the information I provided? Then share the video. Do you want to learn even more? If so, then connect with Jim Costa Films on social media and online on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and on my website. I currently have over 4,100 videos on my YouTube channel, Jim Costa Films, so feel free to check it out along with many of my other videos. Now, I also have a new Facebook group called Video Producers and Content Creators, so look for that to connect there and join the group for even more pro tips and tricks.